Hi everyone, in this lesson we're going to work with fractions. Fractions are going to be an important part of this course because we use them throughout algebra. Today we're going to focus on understanding what a fraction represents, simplifying fractions, adding and subtracting fractions. We'll build on these skills in class with more examples and practice. Let's start with the parts of a fraction. In this example, we have 3/4. The top number is called the numerator. The bottom number is called the denominator. The numerator tells us how many parts we have. The denominator tells us how many equal parts make up the whole. Fractions can look different but still represent the same amount. These are called equivalent fractions. 1/2, 2/4, 3/6 all represent the same amount. We can create equivalent fractions by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Because 2 divided by 2 is 1, multiplying by 2 over 2 doesn't change the value of a fraction. We can also go in the other direction. We can take a fraction and simplify it. Simplifying means writing the fraction in its simplest form without changing its value. 6/8. Then we can divide the numerator by 2, the denominator by 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. Because both 6 and 8 are divisible by 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 6/8 simplifies to 3/4. All right, let's try another one. I want to find a number that divides evenly into both 12 and 18. 12 divided by 6 equals 2. 18 divided by 6 equals 3. So then 12 over 18 is equal to 2 over 3. Both numbers can be divided by 6, so 12 over 18 simplifies to 2/3. Now let's add fractions. We'll start with fractions that have the same denominator. Notice that both denominators are 7. Two plus 3 equals 5. 5 over 7. When the denominators are the same, we add the numerators. We do not add the denominator. The denominator stays 7. So 2 over 7 plus 3 over 7 equals 5 over 7. Here's a common mistake. Some students think they should add the top numbers and the bottom numbers. We don't do that. The denominator tells us what kind of pieces we're working with. We're adding fourths to fourths, so the answer is still in fourths. 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. Subtraction works the same way when the denominators are the same. Subtract the numerators and keep the denominator. We'll get 3/6, but we're not finished. We should always check whether our answer can be simplified. Three-sixths simplifies to 1/2. Now let's look at a different problem. What if the denominators aren't the same? We can't simply add the numerators because we're working with different size pieces. Before we can add these fractions, we need a common denominator. Now that both fractions have the same denominator, we can add them together. 1/2 plus 1/3 becomes 3/6 plus 2/6, and the answer reads 5/6. So here's what I want you to remember. When you're working with fractions, first look at the denominators. If they're the same, you can add or subtract the numerators. If they're different, you'll need to find a common denominator first. And when you're finished, always check whether your answer can be simplified. All right, now it's your turn. You can pause the video and try these 4 problems. Take your time and pay attention to the denominators. Remember, same denominator, add or subtract the numerators. Different denominators, find a common denominator, and remember to simplify your answer. All right, you can check your answers. Four ninths plus 2/9 first becomes 6/9, which simplifies down to 2/3. 7/8 take away 3/8 becomes 4/8, which simplifies down to 1/2 when we divide the numerator and denominator both by 4. 6/10 we need to simplify, and that will become 3/5 by dividing both the numerator and denominator by 2. 1/2 plus 1/4 first need to become fourths. To do that, we can multiply the 1/2 numerator and denominator by 2, so it will become 2/4 plus 1/4 makes 3/4. So you can check your answers. Notice that several of these answers needed to be simplified. That's an important habit to develop. Don't stop as soon as you get an answer. Take a second to ask, can I simplify this fraction? Great job. Today we reviewed the basic skills we'll need when working with fractions. Remember to pay attention to your denominators. Simplify your answers and don't add the numerators. Remember to pay attention to your denominators. Simplify your answers and don't add the denominators when you're adding or subtracting fractions. In class, we'll work through more examples and practice these skills together. After class, you'll have guided practice and independent practice using the OpenStax textbook. Okay, see you in class.